I'm Hank Stoltz, and welcome to Central Mass Chronicles, where we go in depth on the local issues and where we put a local spin on the state and national issues of the day. We are joined today by Randy Feldman, Hilda Ramirez, and actually I know exactly what you're saying. You're saying, wait a minute, Alan Fletcher is in the wrong seat. What is this guy doing here? Alan, you are no longer going to be the moderator, the host of Central Mass Chronicles. We should probably point out that this is by your choice, but we are very pleased that you are here today.
No, happy to be here and get this perspective from the hoi polloi.
Well, then we'll
see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see if I am back next week.
Next year. We'll
switch. We will switch again.
Do it again.
But listen, let me give you then the honor, and thank you very much for all the years. How many years?
7 years.
7 years for Central Mass Chronicles.
It was a delight.
This is a wonderful show and just a wonderful job. And Randy has been, how many years have you been on a regular panelist?
7. Alan, the whole time was 7, and then with Ben Dobson, I was a frequent participant.
Right. Yeah, so you're really, wow, this show has gone on. And Hilda, we invited you to come by as well today, so appreciate it. Maybe not 10 years or 7 years,
right,
but great to have you here. You've been here on a few as well. So I'm glad that you guys are all here to help me and make me feel comfortable and break me in. So Alan, let me begin with you. So Worcester, litter and trash, and are those two different things? And Worcester now has come out, after many years on this, Worcester has come out with a comprehensive recycling program to combat litter. I think there's two things about this comprehensive program that everybody is talking about. One is that we're going to put our recyclables into a clear plastic bag so they won't blow around. The other is that you're going to have to spend 50 cents for a yellow trash bag. A lot of people equate this to
50 cents more.
50 cents more, yes. Oh, wouldn't people love it if it was just 50 cents? So 50 cents more for a yellow trash bag, and people going, they're putting a drawstring on a yellow trash bag and I got to pay 50 cents more? I don't want to do that. I'm not sure that's what the 50 cents refers to, but those are the two things people are pushing back on.
Well, are you asking me what
I
think
so
of the
what's
program?
the whole program, but particularly those two parts of it?
Well, I think the big issue for people is clear plastic bag or rolling containers. Which is better? I personally would prefer the rolling container. It seems, that's what they have in other cities. It's more, it's less funky, I mean, these massive clear plastic bags look weird to me. They say, because I read their rationale, that you get with the rolling containers you get much more contamination. In other words, people just throwing in unrecyclable items in there because they're buried in there and nobody sees them. And I have to believe that it's true. I don't think you're going to get more recycling from this. I guess, looking strictly at this, it's the litter that was the driving force in this. Gary Rosen was irrepressible on the city council, saying, "Oh, it blows all over the place from the open containers." It doesn't need to blow there if you pack them right. So
but there's the human element, right? And Hilda, I mean, that the thing is you're right, Alan. If you are like my wife, and our recycling day is Wednesday, and on Tuesday night you undo everything that myself and my daughters have done, and now you repack it so that nothing is going to blow. Yeah, everything will be fine. But I come home on a Wednesday afternoon after they pick up the recycling, and the litter is up and down the street.
Right. That's my experience too. That as much as I want to package, sometimes I don't have enough to package it in a way that it might be a small quantity, but somehow it the way that they throw it around or something stays on the ground, and then you have litter that you shouldn't have, or I prefer more stable. I don't think it has to be a bag or just a trash can, right? I just came back from the Dominican Republic where there's beautiful trash cans that are built into the landscape that look like very artistic, and they're see-through, and you have the recyclable and you have the regular ones, and they're fixed in an environment that makes it look.
In the public. This is
yes,
out in the public.
In the public, everywhere you go, and I'm like, how could other countries do that? And I think we need to get into something that's more, as I would call, art in the streets that are, part of the recycling.
I think that is part of it too, right? I mean, part of it is what is the litter that is blowing? What is the trash? There's people who are dumping their couches and or some company just comes and dumps all kinds of washing machines. That's one thing. Or do we just want to make sure that we have recycling available for people who are going to the parks? I think, Randy, this part and the part that people are really talking about really is specifically what is coming out of your home. There's also the nip bottles. I mean, there's a lot to it because nobody's going to be nice enough to put their nip bottles into the plastic bag.
Well, no, I pick up the nip bottles and put them in my
recycling bin. Yeah. I do for my gutter as well.
I feel a little bit like the Muppet guy who lives in the garbage can, or the Charlie Brown character who's always
I like trash.
Pigpen.
Yeah. Problem? What problem? I don't see any problem. Right? Like, I'm over on Grafton Street a lot, at Jennings Street, Hamilton Street. I spend a lot of time over there. I'm downtown a lot. I'm on the west side sometimes. I don't see the big problem that everybody else sees. So, I don't know. I guess it's the part of the city you're at, but I don't really see it. Maybe, like I said, I'm just a pig, I'm comfortable in the old New York City days of, I lived there with this.
You're out of your mind.
Remember the days of the garbage strike, those good old days of the garbage strike. Day 59 of the garbage strike. Never was better.
There is a little problem. And isn't part of this, and Alan, you're a businessman, I mean, isn't part of this that if the city is going through a renaissance, that we want to have cleaner streets and the litter blowing is a problem?
Yeah, yes, it is. I will say the program is more comprehensive than this. For instance, we have trash barrels in the Canal District. When they put them there, they said, you've got to pick them up. We've picked them up for years. We pay for them being picked up. Now the city is finally going to pick them up themselves, which I think is a wonderful thing. I think a city should. I think it's shameful that the city doesn't pick up its own trash, but it's a problem. You mentioned a key phrase a minute ago, the human element. The human element is awful. People, and especially now that they're increasing the rates on the plastic bags, they put all their domestic trash in our public containers. It isn't. I mean, I watch them do it from my house because I have a barrel that I'm supposed to be responsible for. But it hasn't been as bad in my neck of the woods. Down on Millbury Street, it drives people crazy. Even I'm talking about store owners who are supposed to be responsible for these trash containers. They just can't take it. They empty it, they turn around, and they're filled overflowing.
So let me just go around here. And Randy, for the purposes of this conversation, let's stipulate that there's litter in Worcester and that people are against it. Is this going to work? Is the comprehensive plan that Worcester has come forward with, will this work? Will this help to prevent the litter from blowing around? Does more need to be done? But do you think that this plan will work?
Yes, I think it's a great plan. I'm in charge of taking out the garbage where I live, so I take it out. And it's true when I put it in the bucket for recyclables that some stuff probably flies off. So to have a clear bag instead of having a bucket makes a lot of sense. To have the tie bag would help me a lot when I'm getting the garbage ready. 50 cents more a bag, so what? I mean, I lived in the suburbs for all these years, and we paid for these big containers that cost real money per month, not what a little bag costs here in Worcester. It's a service you use. It's a service you should pay for. I think it's a great plan, and I'm all for the way they laid it out.
Hilda, what do you think about this plan?
I don't know that I'm convinced that it's more plastic in the environment, first of all, which if we're trying to avoid, then we're adding to it, right? So
they're going to be recycling the plastic bags. I read the fine print.
Yes, but still, I think that there's way too much plastic already in our environment. I do agree. I moved, but I lived around Millbury Street on South Ward Street, and one of the things that I always notice is that as much as you do as a homeowner, it's also like, for example, there are no trash cans around. So the kids, when they're walking to the school there, they don't have a place. And so I think that we also have to kind of be aware of the fact that we need to set up the environment in a way that we want to use it, especially for young kids. I don't think that you intentionally say, I'm just going to throw trash. Kids follow structure. And if you don't have a good structure, they're not going to follow it.
Yeah, and I think education is part of it too. Alan, 30 seconds, what do you think overall of the plan?
Well, I'm glad it's comprehensive. They're having the textile portion of it. I'm not sure how that'll work, but I mean that's a significant amount of the trash volume. They ought to be doing composting, which they, I guess, haven't figured out how to do. That hasn't been addressed. But you know, it's an attempt. I'm not gonna you know, go on complaining that I want my rolling container instead of the clear plastic. What the hell? Let's give it a try. And as I said, you know, they should be picking up the public barrels, and they're gonna be, and it's gonna be a problem. It's not gonna be fun.
All right, we shall see. Hey, coming up right here on Central Mass Chronicles, let's tackle Kelley Square, and we'll do that straight ahead.
Local news from Central Massachusetts for Central Massachusetts.
A teenager is rescued in Westboro Monday after falling through an icy pond.
A new federal program aims to help combat drug addiction.
Mass State Police bomb squad responding to reports of a live explosive device.
Significant snow is expected Saturday night into Sunday.
Reporters in the field. And an in-depth local forecast. Worcester News Tonight on Charter TV3.
Charter TV3 and UMass Memorial Healthcare have teamed up to bring you the latest news and trends in healthcare. Health Watch, presented by UMass Memorial Healthcare, brings you the healthcare topics that are important to you. From stroke prevention to allergies, skincare to sports injury prevention, and nutrition to pregnancy, Health Watch and UMass Memorial Healthcare informs you on the issues that affect you on a daily basis. Health Watch on Charter TV3. For extended interviews with UMass Memorial Healthcare experts, log on to our website.
You can't get Worcester weather from a Boston TV station. The sun could be shining in downtown Boston, but the weather could be very different here in Worcester. People tell me all the time how much they count on our weather forecast, and we know how important that is to our Worcester News Tonight viewers. Each weekday, we'll give you your weather, your 10-day forecast for right here in Worcester, only on Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester's only local forecast, weeknights on Worcester News Tonight.
So Kelley Square. There are some who would like to keep Kelley Square, Kelley Square. I think that train is pulled out of the station. We have had now from the Mass DOT, the Department of Transportation, a number of sessions where they have gathered people from the city of Worcester, mostly at Crompton Place in the Crompton Plaza in the White Room, and people have come and given their ideas. The latest one had to do with what would you really like Kelley Square to look like? I don't mean the peanut or what kind of a rotary it's going to be. I mean, what would you like when it comes to signage? What would you like when it comes to maybe more green space? What would you like Kelley Square to look like when this whole process is done? Hilda, what would you like Kelley Square to look like when all is said and done?
Well, I think it has so much potential. And I do believe that a walkable Kelley Square would be really nice. And I was just talking to Alan about that. The Canal Fest gives you a little taste of that, like people kind of walking from all over. Yes, there's not enough parking, so we have to address that. Yes, it's really dangerous, right? The cars without a stop sign, so there should be some control over that, even just not for the future. It's been an issue for a long time in terms of just so much volume of traffic coming through and people walking. I mean, there's a lot of little bars there, so if you're driving at night, you could see students walking through, and it's dangerous if it's dark. And so, but I think that with enough safety precautions, I think it has I mean, I think you can really do something nice outdoorsy there that is permanent and that people could use and could really benefit from. I know that, you know, I've done a lot of the movies on the, now we don't have it anymore because this beautiful building is going there, which is great, but just walking around, I would love to see that
right,
more.
And I think that this ties into the ballpark, which was really the impetus for this as well. Suddenly it became the most dangerous intersection in the universe. It was interesting that they were okay with us getting run over, I guess, until they were building the ballpark, but that might be a story for another day. So Randy, this is all part of a bigger whole. Then what would you like Kelley Square to look like?
Well, you know, ideally, of course, you want low-level buildings with local charm, local character, and, you know, if there's any way to keep it that way, well, you know, Alan and I agree as a starting point that for all these years, Kelley Square has actually worked, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. The issue is now with the ballpark, it can't continue to have its present formation. There's no question. And you're either going to have to do a rotary, and which is going to bring a lot more traffic and make it a little bit more car-oriented, which nobody particularly wants, or you're going to do a ramp over the whole thing to get past that and try to keep its local flavor. Now, I know Alan's going to accuse me of being Robert Moses,
Absolutely.
right,
Absolutely.
with the master builder destroying small livable spaces.
Bypassing the Canal District, channeling traffic from 290 to the ballpark and bypassing the Canal District and the merchants in the Canal District. Shame on you.
Well, you could do both, I'm thinking. You can leave Kelley Square like it is, but upgrade it, and you can go over it, which will help people coming from 290 to get into the ballpark if they're coming for a game, and then do something local that looks like Cambridge and Somerville, like the way that we have it and the way we would like to enhance it, and do both of those things.
And I think that is what that they're talking about now. So even different than the overpass and the peanut, but it just is, do you want the trees? Do you want the benches? Do you want some sort of something in the island?
I don't want to waste more of my valuable time denigrating this idea that you're coming up with. Give us the Embarcadero Freeway again. Give us the whatever they just tore down in Boston. You know,
right?
Let's be nostalgic about being under the underpass. No, but first of all, so they've based this all on public safety, but we all know it's about the ballpark. Number two, from day one, the cadre of people and merchants, especially in the Canal District, of which I'm suddenly one, have been saying, don't bypass us, don't streamline it past us, this is our lifeblood, let it filter into the district. The DOT, Department of Transportation, has been doing an exemplary job of listening to people and I think bending over backwards to do, quote unquote, the right thing, but the right thing is far more progressive than it was 25 years ago. If this was being done had been done 25 years ago, it would be a streamlined channel from 290 to the ballpark. It would bypass us, it would be horrific. They're doing a good job. I think it amazes them that they're doing such a good job, listening. What they're normally their procedure is that we're here to listen, we want your ideas, no idea is a bad idea, oh, that's a great idea, write that down, Hilda, and then they go in a room and do their own thing and don't listen to you. The solution that they've come up with is interesting in that it combines vehicular convenience in the form of a rotary with the ability of pedestrians to get across the square. What they've done is they've squished this rotary so that you don't have this horrifying, I do it every day. I cross Kelley Square several times a day on my foot, and I haven't been killed yet. But nonetheless, it is an intimidating prospect for some people. And I think what they've come up with is pretty cool within my limited ability to visualize it in reality.
Some of this is so. The first thing, and I don't know if he was kidding or not. I went to the first one. I went to the first meeting, and they stood up and they said, we went to our supercomputer that spits out how these rotaries should be done and everything else, and we inserted Kelley Square, and it just does not compute. So we don't have any way that we usually do it to kind of deal with Kelley Square with all the entrances and the egresses.
Like a bumblebee is supposedly not able to fly. It's too fat and its wings are too short, and yet it flies. Nobody understands why.
But the other thing I want to go back to, particularly with your conversation about the ramp and the overpass, is even with people driving through Kelley Square on game day, for all of you, do you think there is spin-off? Do people then stop in the Canal District and do they go to some of the bars? Do they go to some of the restaurants? Or I drive to the ballpark, I see the ball game, I eat if there is a restaurant, and there's going to be a whole complex there, and that's it, and they don't stop in Kelley Square.
Well, we don't want Kelley Square to be designed simply for the convenience of the ballpark. Sure, those people who are going here to go to the ballpark are going to the ballpark. I think if they get a taste of us in the Canal District, because it's getting better and better, after a while they're going to say, well, I'm going to spend the afternoon there. I'm going to park, spend the afternoon, go shopping, go to the public marketplace, go to Birch Street Bakery, go to and then after the game, they'll hit the bars.
Spin
it's all
off?
good.
Yeah. So
That's
you think
spin off.
I agree because I think that's how I experience Fenway Park or any other ballpark. Like, I'm not into baseball, but when I go, I'm like looking around and saying, what can I do before or after? And you know, the more attractive that there's something around, the more that you'll likely go to it. And I see like a lot of families. I mean, I went to Providence to see. There's a lot of families that come through. Not everybody, you know, wants to watch the game, and some people might just want to like drop off and go around and explore. And I think I think the Canal District has a lot to offer, and so I think that people will want to poke in and see what's going on here. Let me have a coffee, and so yeah.
What do you think, Randy? The way they're building a spin-off?
Worcester's never been very good at spin-off, right? Centrum, terrible. DCU, not so good, right? We're getting a little better. Hanover says that they get some dinner crowds that before people go to the theater, right? And so we're getting a little better. Like the ice hockey team now they built the Railers Tavern, a little bit of spin-off. We've never been very good at spin-off. Is the ballpark going to be different than these other things? You know, I tend not to think so, but I hope I'm wrong. Right? I think, you know, Alan, you're a public market. Like, the more you offer for people to do that they can't do in suburbia, the more unique your offerings are, the more people would come from an urban experience and want to do something urban. The more, just like any other place in Worcester County, the more there won't be spin-off. So hopefully there'll be spin-off, but it's going to be a challenge. We've never really got it in numbers before.
All right, much more to come. And actually, I know that there was just a piece about the architects. Maybe we'll touch on that with the ballpark as well, just for a moment, as Central Mass Chronicles continues.
Local news from Central Massachusetts for Central Massachusetts.
A teenager is rescued in Westboro Monday after falling through an icy pond.
A new federal program aims to help combat drug addiction.
Mass State Police bomb squad responding to reports of a live explosive device.
Significant snow is expected Saturday night into Sunday.
Reporters in the field. And an in-depth local forecast. Worcester News Tonight on Charter TV3.
We're proud to lead with high school sports stories in our sportscast.
Local sports have a unique way of bringing families together, bringing generations together.
People remember where they came from. They remember their high schools. They remember their playing days. I learned a lot because I played high school sports.
I absolutely loved every minute of playing high school sports.
Certainly our goal is just to cover the game and to highlight the positive of high school and local college sports.
There's no other place I'd rather be, and there's no other job I'd rather do.
They are the greatest offender of the pink tax. You guys ever heard of the pink tax?
And they say on average, women pay an extra $1,351 every year just for being a woman.
Yeah, don't preach to me about women and better treatment of women when you are basically sticking it to women when they buy your products. You're listening to the Jim Polito Show, your safe space.
Well, we're going to hit one more topic here, and there is so much. I did just want to mention quickly that, you know, the architects for the ballpark keep talking about making sure that the ballpark is Worcester, and maybe we'll pick this up at another time, but having this spaces as just being a Worcester ballpark and fitting it all into neighborhoods. So I just wanted to put that in so that they are hoping somehow to link it to the Canal District and Green Island, I think is a big part of their plan. Randy, Greendale Mall is something that still has Best Buy is viable, TJ Maxx, they have outside entrances, but you go inside and let's face it, I mean, it's a ghost town. I'm not even sure if there's anybody left in the food court anymore. So District 1 City Councilor Sean Rose came up with an idea and said, well, what if we were to take the DPW properties, consolidate them all at the Greendale Mall, and then you would actually sell those properties, now that Worcester is going through a renaissance, where the DPW is now off of Shrewsbury Street, for example.
Great idea. especially the DPW at Shrewsbury Street. Like, that's a great idea. Someone's going to use that. Someone will buy that property, and someone will build something on that property. Absolutely great idea. The police station, some people talk about moving the police station. That's a lot harder sell to sell that corner and that building. Like, it's not so easy to have buyers. Like, Worcester has gone through this renaissance with people basically doing apartments, right? And I think we're pretty much apartment out now when everything comes up. I don't think you'll see a lot more apartments. So what else are we going to see? Finally we have lots of restaurants. Will you see more restaurants? Will we finally see retail? I don't know, but who in the world is going to take the police station corner? And until somebody wants it, then I don't think you move the police station to Greendale Mall. But the DPW to open up Shrewsbury Street, I think that's a no-brainer. The only thing I don't know is that been given to the city for lack of taxes, or is the city going to buy that?
So the city would be a bidder.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to have to pay price that's owned by some holding company in Texas or something. I mean, I only know what I read in the paper.
Right.
But they'll have a price.
So let's say, and it has been suggested that maybe they would have the right of first refusal. So if somebody says, hey, we're going to buy it for $13 million, maybe the city says, $13 million, that's out of our price range. But if somebody says, hey, we'll give you $6 or $7 million, then maybe the city gets to step in and say, well, wait a minute, for $6 or $7 million, that's worth having a conversation about. So this would be if it seems as if the fate is uncertain, and if it were to go to auction again. But is the overall idea putting a DPW in a mall a good idea?
Well, I don't know if I, despite myself, I usually think, oh, what a stupid idea. I found it delightful. I immediately thought of the Marin County Civic Center, which is in Marin County in California. It's by Frank Lloyd Wright. It's a sort of space age concept, but it's very linear in exactly the way the Greendale Mall is. And it sort of felt transformative to me for the city offices to be not in an old sort of bureaucratic building, but in sort of an airy, light, mall-like thing. I think it's kind of cool. And you could still have Best Buy there. Best Buy is a destination place, I believe. That's where I go for my electronics.
Now that would be interesting. Hilda, do you think that you could still, could you still, I hadn't thought about it. I thought you'd have to just even shut down that retail. Could you still have Best Buy is there, so I go and I buy my electronics, and then, hey, I got to stop by the DPW and talk to them about a few things.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's different. I just think that the whole world is turning more into little stores and small retail shops and smaller spaces, even for electronics, and that you're buying more online. You're not really going into stores hardly. At least I'm not anymore. I don't know. Maybe it's so the demographics of the city, you got to pay attention to really, who are we, what are we trying to accommodate? And I don't know. I don't have a problem with like DPW going in there and making it all a city space, and that way, you're having a building, but I can't even see like TJ Maxx, and that's where I go still because they have a great home goods section. If that goes away, I probably wouldn't even look at that area anymore. So I think that it depends on who you're trying to market to and what you're trying to do, and I prefer one use instead of mixed use like that.
Yeah.
But
what do you think about spin-off in that area? They got Wild Willie's and Wicked Wings and certainly Quince. Do you think if you put that in there,
you can't walk from one to the other? You can't walk from the Greendale Mall.
So you wouldn't have so we wouldn't have the same kind of spin-off that we were talking about previously with even if you put the DPW in there and had more people.
No, I used to live around that area. I don't think you can. It's very far. I think, when I'm thinking of the spaces, I was thinking of, Quincy, it's busting at the seams, but their enrollment is down now. Could you do something like that, like a small off-site campus for a university?
That is, right. And unfortunately, we're out of time. That is what happens to a lot of these spaces, of course, is you end up having a couple of retail stores that try to hang on, and then you have satellite campuses, or you have a dentist office, or somebody who comes in here. They all end up looking sort of horrible, in my humble opinion. All right, that ends it for Central Mass Chronicles.
On a real downer.
Thank you. We'll see if I'm back next time. And appreciate you being with us.